Hey everybody, it's Steve Steele, and today what I'm going to do is show you how to create a lead sheet using an iPad. And I have an iPad Pro and I'm using Notion iOS. Notion iOS is actually a really powerful program for iPads. I've been using it quite a while. I've used Finale for a long time, and I use Notion for the desktop. But when I'm traveling or when I'm away from the studio, I like to carry my iPad Pro because it gets most of the work done that I need done. So when I'm in rehearsals, when I'm conducting, when I'm around an orchestra, when I'm in any situation where I might need to chart something out, I have my iPad. Okay, so I'm going to do giant steps, and here you're looking at something I charted in less than 10 minutes from scratch. It's not finished. I left out 3 lines of the chords, but I decided to stop there and then just record what I was doing. So I'm going to redo this from scratch. All right, so I'm going to go to New. It's going to create a new chart for me, and I'm just going to pick treble staff. All right, so we have that. What I want to do is make it look right. All right, so what I want to do here is first change it to the jazz font. I don't need a subtitle, so I'm going to delete that. For the composer, all right, so I'm going to enter that. All right, and a couple of other settings for measure numbers. For this chart, no, because it's only a 16 bar chart. Measures per system. For the measures per system, I want 4. For system titles, I want none, so it doesn't list an instrument. So this is a traditional lead sheet. All right, so that gets us started. Now I've got already more measures than I need. So I'm going to cut that off at 16. So I'm going to select the double bar line tool and enter it here. All right. So for these remaining measures, I'm going to select them and just cut them out. So there we have 16 measures. It's approximately half note at 120. But in the real book that you buy from Hal Leonard, it actually does not have a tempo marking. It's marked with text. So there we go. I'm going to take this and just rearrange it a little bit. Okay. These can be moved around as well. So good, that looks right. So when it comes to entering notes, the great thing about the iPad Pro and about Notion iOS is there's actually more ways to enter notes than there would be with finale or Sibelius. So let me explain the ways that I can enter notes here. And there's 5 ways, and I'm going to do each one of those. As I do this example, I'm going to go through each of those except for one. So you can do the usual step entry where you can pull up a keyboard or a guitar fretboard. In this case, I'm going to use a keyboard. And you select a rhythm. So I'm going to start out with a half note. And then you just enter it like that. Over here to the left of the keyboard, you'll see 2 notes and then a chord. So this is melody entry and this is chord entry. And below that is a little pin with a circle around it. If you're entering notes, this needs to be highlighted. The reason it's here is if you want to get into the score, maybe move some things around or play with the score without accidentally entering notes, or if you want to play the keyboard without notes being entered, then you can turn this off. So it's a great feature to have. Another way to enter notes is to just push this finger tool right here, and I'm going to select the type of note I need, which is a half note. All right, and I'm going to pinch out, and I'm going to go to the note I need, which is a D, and there it is. Another way is to use the Apple Pencil. So I can now draw in notes. So first I'm going to use my finger. So let's say you have this with you and you forgot to bring your Apple Pencil, or you don't have one. See how quickly that works? It's amazing. I'm going to continue with this method. So I'm just going to finish this measure. Next, I have a dotted quarter note. See if I can get this right. Yeah, great. Okay. Next, I have an 8th note. Very good. And it's tied over to the next measure. Oh, but I can fix that in just a second. Let me. Okay. So that creates a slur. There we go. So now let me use the Apple Pencil. All right, so I've got my Apple Pencil. I'm on measure 4, and I need a dotted quarter note, a B natural. So instantly puts it in there. Makes a natural and a dot. And it's instantaneous. Some of the best handwriting recognition I've ever seen. All right, that's followed by an 8th note. And then a tied half note. Okay. I'm going to do a couple of more measures with the pencil because this is actually going really fast. All right, so I have a note in this next measure that I must have touched. What I can do is select it and just move it. There we go. And since it's selected and it's the wrong rhythmic value, I can tap in whole note and it changes the value for me. All right, so I'm going to tie. All right, one more measure with the pencil. So I do 2 fingers to move this over, not 1. All right, so I have a G as a half note, and I have an F natural, and that is a dotted quarter note, and then I have a B flat as an 8th note. Okay, that's great. That's going to be tied over, so let me go ahead and draw that in and put the tie in. Okay. Now I'm going to get out of this mode and go to the keyboard. So now I'm going to use the on-screen keyboard to enter notes. This is pretty fast too. So what you want to do is select the note value. So this is a half note, and then I just need to enter the right pitch. Now, it doesn't have a natural there, so I'm just going to select the note and then hit natural, and there we go. And to unselect the note, just tap anywhere on the screen where there's white space, or anywhere where there's not a note. Okay, the next note is a dotted quarter note. So I'm going to select quarter note and then a dot, and then I'm going to play an A. The next note is an 8th note, and the next note is again a whole note. All right, now I need to tie those. So I'm going to select tie. All right, so we're getting close to the end actually. So because this tune uses a lot of chromaticism, it does not have a key signature, and sometimes notation programs will not know which inharmonic spelling of a note to enter. So this will probably be an example here. So I'm wanting it to enter a D sharp. So if I go and play a D sharp, it comes back with E flat. So there's a couple of quick ways to change this. One is I can select on the hand icon, tap on this note, and pull it down. Now it needs a sharp before it, so I just place the sharp there. All right, that's one way to do it. Another way is to erase the note, and that's the second icon right there. And I'm going to enter a D natural, then back up and put a sharp before it. So I selected it and put a sharp before it. Okay, so let's move on to the next note. Now I want to unselect just in case. All right, so the next note is a dotted quarter note. But this time it hits an E flat. So same problem really. So I'm going to go ahead and play a D, but I'm going to put a sharp for it. Same thing. And then get out of it. Okay. Now I need an F sharp as an 8th note. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the next measure and enter an F sharp whole note. Now if I back up, if I hit this tie, it's going to tie it, and the sharp has now gone away. Okay, so I have a couple of measures left. So I'm going to go to a half note, enter a G. Then I need a dotted quarter G. Then I need an eighth note B flat. And then I need a whole note B flat. I want this tied over. There we go. Last measure. So I need an F sharp. And then another F sharp as an eighth note. All right, we're almost done. I just need a half note rest, and that's right here. Okay, so I'm going to save what I've done. By the way, when you save, you can save it to the device you're working on, in case you don't have internet access. You can save it to iCloud or Dropbox, and that's great because let's say I'm carrying the iPad and I have an iPhone. I can then open this file on an iPhone, make some changes or whatever I want to do. Also, I'll have access to it from my Mac when I get home. Or if you have Dropbox, then if you save it to Dropbox, you can open it on a PC. I can upload the file to SoundCloud and it will play. Or I can email it to somebody or myself, or I can go ahead and print parts. And printing parts is great. It comes out really nice. Okay, so there we go. So let's enter some chord names and we'll be through with this chart. That's how fast this goes. So we're going to go back to the beginning. So we start out with a B major 7. All right, next chord is a D7. Now, instead of losing this screen with the chords on it, I just hit this arrow and it goes to the next beat. And so I'll try to move as quickly as possible. That's the main reason for this video, to show you how quickly this can get done. All right, B flat 7. You can tap on these. So right now I'm using my finger, but if I want to use my pen, it's real easy. You just tap on the letter. So this is an E flat major 7. All right. So I have an A minor 7. To D7. Okay, so I have a G major 7 to B flat 7. Next measure is an E flat major 7 to F sharp 7. Back to a B major 7. F minor 7. Let me undo that. Sometimes it will do that if I've selected a major 7 and then switched to a different type of 7. It will retain the major 7 in the name. Not sure if that's excuse me, that's the wrong chord. I'm not sure if that's a bug or not. Okay, now B flat 7. And over here to the right, where the guitar symbols are, you can see what the name of the chord is that's going to be entered. So there we go. Next measure is an E flat major 7. All right. All right, we have a 2-5-1 here, an A minor 7. Here's a case where the major 7 stays selected. You want to just click on the 7. So I have an A minor 7 to D7 to a G major 7. Okay, another 2-5-1, a C sharp minor 7. Now notice again over here to the right, I have 2 7s selected, and it's going to put a C sharp minor 7 over major 7, which is not what I want. So I just select that. All right, now we move on to an F sharp 7. To a B major 7. All right, now 2-5-1 in E flat major, so we have an F minor 7. I don't know if you heard that lightning, but it's raining like crazy outside. To a B flat 7. To an E flat major 7. All right, and then we have a final turnaround 2-5-1. We have a C sharp minor 7. To an F sharp 7. Right. All right, let me save this. Okay, so we're looking at it in portrait mode. So what you're looking at now is Notion for macOS. So it's a desktop version. And what I did was I went ahead and wrote and arranged for the rest of a rhythm section. So I assigned the melody to tenor sax. I doubled it with a marimba. I have piano comping and playing some of the melody. I wrote a bass line for an upright bass player, and I wrote the drum part. Let's take a listen. Since it was only one time through the changes, I had to do an arrangement for that. So basically what I did was, if you kind of break down this tune, it's in 2 parts, 2 sections. So we have these first 3 measures, and 3 is an important number in this tune. So what happens with the chords is, he starts off with the major 7th and then moves a major 3rd away, then goes down a 5th, goes up a minor 3rd, and then down a fifth. And these are referred to as Coltrane changes. If you look at the spelling of these chords, if you look at the roots of these chords, so E flat, G, B, it forms an augmented triad, which is stacked major thirds. That's pretty prominent in Coltrane music. So you have thirds, you have triads, and you have three measures. So he uses three a lot. In the next phrase, he does a similar thing, but we start off with a 2-5-1 in G major. Then we have a 5-1 in E flat, and then a 5-1 in B. Okay, then we go to the B section, where he does 2-5-1s, 2-5-1 in E flat, 2-5-1 in G, and a 2-5-1 in B. And again, this spells an E flat augmented triad, and he does it 3 times. He repeats the 2-5-1 in E flat major, which is the same as this first one. And then he ends it by doing a 2-5. This is the turnaround. And this one that I have written here, this altered one, is the same as the first chord. So the piece just turns around. And I just wrote a coda just to give it an ending. And for my arrangement, what I did, to give it some texture, I had the piano comping for the first phrase. For the second phrase, I started out comping, but then the piano went to the melody. In the B section, the piano plays the melody, but on the cadence, on the one chord, plays accompaniment. So I have that happening every time here. Whoops. Here. And then on the turnaround, I use this as a climax for a drum solo. So you're going to hear these accents, a tenuto and an accent, then a drum solo. And then you hear an ending chord and then a coda. So with that in mind, let's listen to it just one more time. Okay, so there you go. So that's a good example of what you can do with an iPad with Notion iOS. Wherever you are. You can even do it on your iPhone. If you have a big enough screen. I have an iPhone 6 Plus, and I can do the same thing, although, it's a lot smaller. But with the iPad Pro, definitely, no problems. So it sounds pretty good for the built-in sounds mixed with those other samples. So this could be, if this was a piece that you needed to hand in for a mock-up, the production is certainly good enough. And it really took me not very long. Well, once I composed it and got it in there, I mixed it literally in about less than 5 minutes. So the lead sheet, if I'm not talking, if I'm just sitting there and writing, I can knock something out about that length in about 5 minutes. So this took about 30, 45 minutes, I guess, and then I mixed it down real quick. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any comments, any questions, any suggestions, leave them below, and I answer everything. I try to answer everything within 48 hours. So, okay, guys, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in a few days. Thanks.